What's up? I'm Ben Freeman from freeman-pedia.com, and this is SAQs Day. This is where I take some of the released SAQs that are still relevant to the course and break them down with you with a few tricks and tips along the way. And this week, we're back with the GOAT, the 2022 AP World History Modern Exam. I'm a fan, can I say? I love this one. But this one SAQ is the tricky one. The other ones are all fine. This one I had a little problem with. Okay, check it out. I mean, it's really not that tricky, but remember, you aren't just sitting at home, hanging out, just doing whatever, answering a question at your own rate. You are timed. And like Heimer likes to say, when you're on the clock, things get more difficult. I actually had the opportunity last year to be on the AP scoring committee where you kind of set the standards as to what's a 1, what's a 2, what's a 3, what's a 4, what's a 5. And for 4 hours on one of those days, they said, sit down, clear off whatever. So it's me, a couple other AP World History teachers, and a bunch of like college professors, and they're like, boom, take the exam. And I'm not gonna lie, that clock was haunting. Like, it's tough. It's tough. I've been doing this for years. It's tough because it's not like, let's focus the lens here, right? There's none of that. There's none of that. It's, you know, it's like Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. Right when you read the first stimulus-based multiple choice question, boom, you're hit in the face, and you're like, and every extra minute, then the time goes, and then when you hit an SAQ like this, you're like, wait, what? Oh my God, this is a map, what's going on? So even old pros like your boy here start to feel the pressure. And it's reasons like the clock and the stress that every year, not even every year, but it's about every other year, out of the 300,000 plus students that do this stupid exam, one person gets a perfect score. So when you stroll into the second SAQ on the 2022 AP World History Modern Exam, you're already super stressed and haven't had a break since the exam started, but you should get a big smile on your face, right? Because what do you see right in front of you here? An image. Love an image, right? But skip that for now. You know the rules. Focus the lens. I'll go ahead and plug this here. I did go back right after they released, you're supposed to wait like 48 hours, I forget how long, 72 hours, something like that, after the exam before you ever say anything to anyone about it. And then you're free to talk about it, at least the FRQs. So I went back after that and took the whole thing on here. I'm actually sitting right here. I'm wearing, I don't know, something else. I'm sitting right here, and I was like, just going along with you. Just like we do with these SAQs, I did the whole thing. I did all 4 SAQs, the DBQ, which was fantastic, and all of the LEQs, right? So if you want to go back and watch that, go back and watch that. It's somewhere on the channel. I think it's, I don't know where. It's got like my profile, but like 8-bit version. So go on, I think it's side of the shelf down there on the bottom of the playlist. You can go down there and watch it. I'll do the whole thing. It's like a 20-something minute video. You can watch me do the whole thing. But we're just going to focus on this one SAQ today. Last week, I warned you when we were doing that terrible Turning Points SAQ, that you do need to know those categories, those spice charts, political, social, or social political. In my class, we do impact on the environment for I. It's kind of a stretch, whatever, but the College Board loves the environment. There's always something on there about it. C, culture, E, economics. You need to know them. You need to be able to differentiate between them because this is the, just like you need to know the regions, you need to know what South Asia means from a couple weeks ago, but you also need to know what political means. If you know what these are, they're kind of like cheat codes to help you understand what's going on the exam, what they specifically want from you. They kind of open doors for, if you know what social means, all of a sudden, all the different social things in your head, class systems, relationships between people, you fit a lot into social. And when you see that, now the question has more words. It's more specific to you than just, oh, social, I don't know what that means. If you don't know what that means, that's really gonna tie you up. So make sure you know that. If you haven't been doing that all year, start thinking in those terms. They're crucial, and they're crucial today. Case in point, check out A and B. So there's gonna be something going on in the image. Remember, we skipped the image. You can read the image, look at the image right away, obviously, if you want, but you don't really know what you want from it. So I always say focus the lens, jump down here and look at these. So when we do check out the image, we're gonna need to be looking for an economic and a political development that led to whatever is going on up there. Now, odds are you didn't just skip past it. You saw it some sort of map, and there's European boxes in some sort of place in China. So what's an economic and a political development that led to that? Oh, and looky here, both A and B are only identified. So we just need to name an example of something political and something economic that led to whatever's going on in this image. And for C, explain one reason why the British would be carrying out this survey of these factories. All right, we know what to look for. Let's check the stimulus. Now earlier, I complained, I said this one is tricky. This is why I said it's tricky. The only reason I think it's tricky is because they say factories here, which is what they were called historically. They would have called them factories. During imperialism, you would set up a base of operations and need a storehouse type place to store your goods to ship back home or the stuff you're gonna be trading in this new territory. They called these factories. But when I see factory on a timed exam, I think, oh, assembly line, terrible working conditions, people caught in machines, like Industrial Revolution stuff. So if you were in a rush, you may have tripped up on this one. To their credit, they do clarify right after it. But heads up on this one, if you see that and you're writing this one and you think that those boxes down there are like assembly lines in China that British and French people are in, that's not it. They're just kind of storehouses. So we got a map of Canton. The big takeaway here is that there are a bunch of these factories with European, American, and Chinese labels attached. When we focused the lens, we saw that they wanted us to identify the political and economic reasons this exists. And then to explain the reason the British Royal Navy is conducting this survey. You can see them in the description at the top up there. So let's do this. We focused the lens, we've looked at the stimulus. Let's answer the prompt. All right, A and B, both identified, both looking for developments that led to this. We know this is Europeans in China. So for A, we just talked industrialization being a turning point a few SAQs days ago. Well, that's why the Europeans and Americans are here. So if you just said that industrialization was an economic development that led to the American and European establishment of factories in Canton, China, you're good to go. For B, they want a political development. So something the state or government was doing that allowed for this. I would go with the Opium Wars. Everyone covers the Opium Wars. It's an international historical drug war, so people are familiar with the Opium Wars. It was fought between the Manchu Qing dynasty and the British Empire, with the British coming out on top. But that's a political development. A war is two states are fighting, so in this case, two empires are fighting, and so that's political, and that's a political development that led to the British being here in this stimulus. Now again, there's other options here. You could have said other things. You could have gone a little deeper and said like, well, the Taiping Rebellion was so devastating to the Manchu control of China that this left them open to be taken over, or at least politically, in some areas, economically overall taken over by the West. So, but again, there's a bunch of options on these. I would have just gone with Opium War because Opium War. See, it's a little tougher and way more specific. Why is the British Navy producing this survey map? Now we're sourcing, right? Now we're looking specifically at who's doing this, and then they're like, why is this? Well, who are they? Why are they explaining to this to me? What is this group doing here, and why are they doing this? The simplest answer, again, is the Opium War. You couldn't just say Opium War, but if you explain that the Opium War led to treaties that granted sovereignty to the British in certain areas of China, boom, you're gonna get the point. That's why they're surveying this territory. I would argue, probably not very well, that for A, B, and C, you could have used the Opium War. It works for all three. It's kind of a big deal historically, but I think you could have fit them into A, B, and C. Don't try that on some exam. Be like, I'm gonna use one answer for all three. I just think in this case it would have worked. All right, enough Chinese and British Canton factories. Next week we turn to the 2021 exam to see more effects of imperialism and more specifically the effects of westernization.